Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvi Shavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Boliye Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram. Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Hari Om. We are on the 14th day of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which began from May 8th through the eyes of Swami Chinmayanandaji. And we are in chapter 3 now. We completed with chapter 2 yesterday, which is Sankhya Yoga, the yoga of knowledge. After having taught Arjuna the yoga of knowledge and briefly touching upon Karma Yoga also, because chapter 2 is somewhat an essence of the Bhagavad Gita. And so he touches on Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, as well as Sankhya Yoga or Jnana Yoga, all three yogas. And then he gives a description about the man of self-realization, how he is, how he walks, how he talks, and how he behaves. In chapter 3, Gurudev says, so far Sri Krishna vehemently argued against Arjuna's decision not to fight, but to renounce the glory of success and retire to the quietude of the jungle to live there the life of a monk. So he argued Arjuna's decision to not fight, but go to the jungle and live there the life of a monk, seeking the divine, like meditating, sitting quietly, doing puja, and a very quiet lifestyle. Krishna warned him, let not thy attachment be towards inaction. Just at the same time, you have to do your work without identifying with the results of the action and identifying with yourself as a doer of the action. Let your attachment not be towards the results of the action also. It is not only not identifying with the doer, but also not attached to inaction. And this chapter 3 is all about Karma Yoga. He says, do action. How to do action? What are all the bondages that can come because of action? And how to do action in such a way that we are not bound by the action. So that is the contents of chapter 3. Modern psychology, Gurudev says, defining a patient of psychosis, modern psychology says, the psychotic person loses his contact with reality. He may live in a dream world, perhaps unaware of his identity or surroundings, or he may be unable to control his behavior. He may have fantastic ideas, delusions. He may misinterpret what he sees or hears, illusions. He may see, hear, taste, feel, taste, or smell things that are not there, hallucinations. So Arjuna was in a similar condition at that time. At one place, Bhagavan indicated that karma was inferior to buddhi, but in the same discourse, in its conclusion, there was a vehement support of the path of renunciation. So, when he says there is the path of renunciation was glorified, Arjuna was thinking, This is what I wanted. And Bhagavan says, don't do that, do action. And then he is glorifying the path of renunciation. So a question might have arisen in his head. And that is what the whole question of the chapter 1 is also all about. So it begins with a question from Arjuna's mind. He asks his charioteer, Bhagavan Shri Krishna, that question directly. Arjuna uvacha jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana tatkyam karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava. So Arjuna is asking Krishna, jayasi chet, it is greater, karmanaha te, over action, mata, you think, buddhihi janardana, knowledge is greater, thinking is greater, the right thought is greater than action. You are saying, you are thinking that way. Who are you? O Janardana. The people are worshipping you. And so that is why I give importance to your words. And now you are confusing me. So Arjuna asks him directly, Tatkim, if you are saying knowledge is greater than action, then Tatkim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi Keshava. O Keshava, the one who has killed the Asura called Keshi, is Keshava. Why are you pushing me into this action which is ghora, which is very cruel? It's almost like murdering my own relatives, and you're pushing me into this action, and you say knowledge is greater. I want to go for knowledge only. No, I want to go and meditate in the Himalayas. You're saying don't do that, fight the battle. And you're saying at the same time, knowledge is greater than action. What is this, Krishna? What is this discrepancy in your words? So the next, he's talking about what is the difference. Vyamishrene vavakyena buddhim mohayasiva me tadekam vada nischitya yena shreyohamapnuyam. Krishna, you are my teacher. I've told you already. I'm surrendering at your feet. You are my guru. You are my teacher. I've asked you for the guidance to give me something clear and something right, no doubt. But now your words are confusing me. Vyamishrena iva vakyena buddhim mohayasi iva. As if you are deluding my intellect with your as if your words are confusing. Vyamishrena iva. Two ivas are used. It is as if I'm confused, as if you're confusing me, and as if you're deluding my intellect. Tad ekam vada nischitya. Now, can you please tell me one thing only? You're telling two things. You're telling me do action, and you're saying greater is jnana, knowledge. But you're telling me to do action at the same time. Can you tell me one thing to do which is great for me? Shreyaha aham avapnuyam, by which I can attain that glory, I can attain that greatness. So the third verse, Bhagavan, maybe he's probably smiling at Arjuna's question, because Arjuna is a loving student for him. Bhaktosi me priya. He says in chapter 12, you're my devotee and you're very dear to me. So Bhagavan is not angry with this question. And this is a greatness of Sanatana Dharma. In Sanatana Dharma, there is no reason for blind belief. Even though the gurus and the masters speak from the authority of the Vedas and the Upanishads, the student may not always be able to understand the clear picture, and the student is allowed to ask many questions to clarify the thoughts that are given to him, and they are not expected to believe what is said in blind faith. So Shri Bhagavan is now explaining to Arjuna. Shri Bhagavan uvacha lokesmin dvividha nishtha Pura prokta maya nagha jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. Shri Bhagavan says, Shri Bhagavan uvacha. In this world, there is a twofold path. There are two ways to achieve that supreme. As I said before, pura prokta. Pura means it is not said when. Pura prokta maya anagha. I have spoken about this. Anagha is one who does not have any sins, whose mind is very pure, whose mind is very calm, whose mind is very stable. He does not have any secrets. He is not very secretive. He is not holding any secrets within him. He is a very plain person, Arjuna. Sinless one, the path of knowledge of the Sankhyas. What are the two paths? The path of knowledge and the path of action of the yogins. There are two paths, the path of knowledge and the path of action. These are the two paths which have been spoken by me earlier. When is that early? It is said in the 4th chapter. Early means not now, as Krishna, even as the Lord's Son, I have spoken about it. He says, Pura means very, very early in previous lifetimes when I was embodied and I had been ruling. At that time, I spoke about this. Religious men, Gurudev says, religious men fit for spiritual discipline, fall under two categories, the active and the contemplative. The Gita is not merely a textbook of Hinduism, but a Bible for humanity. As such, these categories, the contemplative person and the active person. The path of knowledge to the meditative and the path of action to the active is being prescribed by Bhagavan Shri Krishna to the whole world. If I am a meditative person, I can sit and quietly meditate upon that reality, the truth. But if I am given to a lot of activity, if I'm given to a lot of restless movement, then the path of action is my way, because I cannot sit quietly and meditate. When I am desiring to act, when I am a go-getter, when I want to accomplish things in the world, then sitting quietly and meditating cannot be my path. So two paths are given here. Two possible methods by which the active and contemplative could seek and rediscover the eternal nature of their very self is being spoken about here. The introduction to the next verse, the path of action is a means to an end, not directly, but only as a preparation to the path of knowledge. He said there are two paths. One is a path of knowledge and the other is a path of action. Now, the path of action does not directly take us to the supreme truth. It takes us to the path of knowledge. The path of action is like in Pondicherry, there's a road called Nehru Road, and then it continues as Gandhi Road. You are walking on Nehru Road and you keep asking people, where is Gandhi Road? Where is Gandhi Road? They keep telling you, you keep walking on this road, you will reach Gandhi Road. Even in Mogaper, where I am staying right now, one part of the street is called Venugopal Swami Street. And the same street becomes a road. It just continues and goes as School Road, it is called. So if I'm standing on Venugopal Swami Street and asking for where is School Road, what will people say? You keep walking on Venugopal Swami Street, you will automatically enter into School Road. So that is the way. If where is Jnana, you keep walking the path of karma, you will automatically enter into the path of Jnana. So the path of action is a means to an end, and not directly, but only as a preparation to the path of knowledge. Whereas the path of knowledge, which is attained by means of path of action, leads to the goal directly without extraneous help. To show this, Bhagavan Shri Krishna says in the next verse, 4th verse, Na karmana manarambhat naishkarmyam purushoshnute na cha sanyasanadeva siddhim samadhigacchati. Na karmanam anarambhat. Without performing actions, one person cannot reach that state of actionlessness of the mind. By renunciation alone, by giving up everything, by giving up action, he does not attain perfection. So, Bhagavan is stressing here the need to act. For everybody who is on this path of realization, it is important to be in the path of action. To be in the path of knowledge, if the mind is fit, automatically it is going to happen. There is no question. But we are all studying the Bhagavad Gita, we are listening to the Bhagavad Gita, and we are meditating and contemplating on the Bhagavad Gita. If we have so much of time to spend, and if we are having that energy and the potential and the need to listen, then we are all in the path of action only. There is no doubt about it. So many are the people who fool themselves thinking that they are on the path of Jnana Yoga. They sit and they say that we will sit and meditate. And finally, there'll be a lot of vasanas hidden inside them, lot of anger, lot of hatred, lot of jealousy, lot of frustration, lot of so many things, so many emotions and so many impressions will be there. And they have not given it out completely through action. How does it go out of the body? It goes out through action. It leaves the body and mind through selfless action. So Gurudev says here, as the desires in us, so are our thoughts. Thoughts are the disturbances created in our mental zone by our desires. At every moment, the texture and quality of our thoughts are directly conditioned and controlled by our desires. Thoughts in an individual, expressed in the outer world of objects, become his actions. Actions are nothing other than the actor's thoughts projected and expressed in the world. Thus, in the chain of ignorance constituted of desires, thoughts, and actions, each one of us is caught and bound. So the whole pattern is, how do these beliefs come? These desires, how do they come? They come from ignorance, avidya. When it functions in the intellect, ignorance is there in the intellect, in our sankalpa, in our ability to keep the mind one-pointed and have a purpose in life and a goal in life. The more and more it becomes clarity with less and less avidya, the sankalpa becomes very clear. If the sankalpa is filled with desires, I want this, I want that, for this reason I'm doing, then avidya is very strong. As long as avidya is very strong, there will be desires in the intellect, and the desires in the intellect will give birth to thoughts, and the thoughts will give birth to actions. The actions will reinforce the ignorance, the desires, the thoughts, and reinforce the actions. It is a self-fulfilling loop, a very thick loop. It goes until the path of destruction only. There is no release. There is no release from this bondage of thoughts, desire, thought, action loop. Unless we slow down, we don't identify ourselves as a doer of the action and as the enjoyer or sufferer of the results. We offer it to Ishvara, and we are keeping our mind focused on the supreme truth. Unless we do that, this desire, thought, action, result is a tightening loop. Na karmanam anarambhat, na naishkarmyam purusha, na naishkarmyam purushaha ashnute. So we say you travel through the path of knowledge, through the path of action. That will lead you to the path of knowledge, and knowledge will lead you to the supreme. So one may ask, if I can avoid the path of action and go straight to the path of knowledge, I will go to the supreme, right? Why do I need action? Why do I need to go from Venugopal Swami Street to School Road? I can come on the other side and enter into School Road directly. So Bhagavan Shri Krishna says that is not possible. If you are a person for whom action is necessary to quieten the mind, then na karmanam anarambhat, without beginning to do actions, na naishkarmyam purushaha ashnute. Naishkarmyam is non-action, a state of non-activity, which is sattva, sattvic state of being. Like, what is non-activity and activity? For example, there is a Sishya and a Guru. A big program is happening. The Guru has done a lot of these activities in his past years, And over a period of time, his mind has become purified and steady, and he has become the guru. The Shishya is now coming to learn, and the Shishya has to do everything for the program to be organized. The Shishya has to prepare the stage, get the flowers, work with everybody else, and get the carpets readied. He has to light the lamps. He has to do the pujas and offerings for all the deities on the stage. He has to set the guru's seat. He has to keep the water, arrange the mic, and do so many things. And then he has to sit down. What will the guru do? The guru will come. He will be received with Purna Kumbha. He will go sit straight on the chair. The mic will be kept for him properly. He just has to touch the mic to set it right for his own voice, so that his voice is audible. Even that will be done by somebody else. And the guru has to speak. And after the 1 hour of speech and so many hours of that conference or program of speech, the guru goes back, and it is a Shishya who will come and go and arrange everything and replace everything, whatever needs to be replaced, clean everything, tidy up everything. And then finally, when the program is over also, he will only set everything right, lock up the room and go. The guru comes, he sits, he talks, and he goes. Why is that possible? Because the guru has spent so many years studying the Shastras, contemplating about the Shastras, teaching for so long that there is no necessity for him to do all this work to quieten his mind. His mind is already quiet. But whereas the Shishya, he cannot afford to just sit quietly. If he does not do anything and says, the guru will speak and I will just listen. Shushrusha is a very important part for the Shishya, for the disciple. Shushrusha means service. Guru Shushrusha. By doing work, his mind gets purified. So as the desire, so thoughts in an individual, the ignorance, avidya, when it functions in the intellect, express itself as desires. And when desires, which are nothing other than ignorance, functions in the mental zone, they express as thoughts. Na karmanam anarambhat naishkarmyam purushaha na ashnute. A human being, without doing actions, without starting actions, will not attain that actionlessness state. We all like holidays. We all like the Sunday or whatever day we get an off day in the week. But to get that off day, we have to work for the rest of the 6 days. Only then the off 6 days or 5 days, only then the off day is valid. Otherwise, we cannot get off days. Nacha sanyasana deva siddhim samadhi gacchati. Just by giving up actions, a person does not attain siddhi. A person does not attain siddhi means a person does not attain that state of consciousness. State of jnana is not attained by just not doing actions. Self, so there is a self, the Atman, consciousness, then there is desireless. In that self, it is desireless, thoughtless, and actionless. And when these conditions are met, one is able to sustain and be stable in the self. Gurudev says, by mere renunciation of action, which is called sannyasa. Many people are there, if they are having problems in their life, they have some loans, they are not able to handle those problems, and they have problem in the family, problem with wife or problem with husband. The immediate thought is, I just want to leave all this and go to the Himalayas or go to Tiruvannamalai, find some sadhu who can give me sannyasa diksha and take sannyasa and sit and do Rama, Krishna, Govinda, I want to do japa. So this is what they will think. It is the sannyasa is not just renunciation of action. No one attains perfection. This misguided Hindu was to be, Arjuna is a misguided Hindu who had to be re-educated in the right understanding of the immortal culture of the Vedas. For this purpose was a divine song given by Bhagavan Shri Krishna. While in the Ashtavakra Gita in many places, there is no mention of any action at all. The Ashtavakra is for the highest disciple, the disciple of knowledge who is on the verge of realization. For that person is Ashtavakra Gita, where even the small thought of doing something or acquiring some money, or there may be some joy in some wealth or family or pleasures of life, if those thoughts are there, to break all those thoughts, Ashtavakra Gita is said. So Bhagavad Gita is not spoken to people at that realm of existence. It is spoken to Arjuna in the Mahabharata. He is standing in the battlefield. He has to get himself ready for work. He is not ready for sannyasa or liberation. And so that is the whole essence of the Bhagavad Gita finally is do action in the prescribed manner, and by doing action the mind becomes pure, and when the mind becomes pure you are fit for that immortal knowledge of the self. This is the whole essence of the Bhagavad Gita. For what reason then does a person not attain perfection, that is free from the activities, by mere renunciation unaccompanied by knowledge? The reason thus asked for is given as follows. So why does a person not go straight for knowledge? Why does he have to do action? What is our condition in life? Our everybody's basic condition, there's one problem. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krit karyate hyavashah karma sarva prakriti jair gunaihi. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi. Even for a second, not even a single person in this world, jatu, can indeed, tishtati akarma krita. They can stay without doing any action. Just try. Even we say, if we are sitting quietly without any action, our unconscious mind, like David Hawkins says very beautifully, even though the subconscious mind is going to school, getting educated and all that, what is the unconscious mind doing? The unconscious mind is still in the forest, swinging from one tree to the next, happily enjoying life in the forest. That is the state of our unconscious mind. Unconscious mind is completely in the state of activity, darkness. And the subconscious mind is going through all this process of education and training and all that. And the conscious mind is living the world, the day-to-day world. So, nahi kaschit kshanamapi, even at the level of the mind, there is activity. Even if the body is still without doing anything, the mind is active. Even if the body is sitting still, many parts of the body, like the heart is pumping, the blood is flowing, the thoughts are functioning, the desires are active, planning is happening inside, so many things are happening. Jatu tishtati akarma krita. Nobody can indeed sit quietly even for a moment without doing action. Karyatehi avashaha karma. How do they do action? Even without their control, they do actions. Sarvaha prakriti jaihi gunaihi. By all their, everybody, by their own nature, by their own swabhava, they keep doing actions all the time. So man is ever agitated under the influence of the triple tendencies, Gurudev says, of inactivity is sattva guna, activity is rajoguna, and inactivity is tamoguna, inherent in him. Even for a single moment, he cannot remain totally inactive. Total inactivity is a character of utterly insentient matter, like the table, chair, and stone is total inactivity. Even those objects also, quantum physics says, if you dissect into a rock, the high levels of activity are going on. The atomic particles are spinning at very high speeds, even in a rock which seems so stable to us. So that is the level of rajas that is there in the atmosphere around us. Even if we are physically at rest, mentally and intellectually, we are active all the time, except during the state of deep sleep. In the state of deep sleep, the only activity that is happening is the inhalation and the exhalation. And even then, a lot of activity is quietly happening without much noise, without our awareness, they are happening. The digestion is happening, the blood flow is happening, the breathing system is at work, the body is on a state of alert. Even though the person is sleeping, it is not completely gone to unconscious state. The body is still alert. Any small disturbance, any small sound, we can get up. So that is a kind of restlessness the body is always at. If there is a creature that remains inactive physically, he will get dissipated in his thoughts. Therefore, the Gita advises him to act vigorously with a right attitude of mind so that he may avoid all internal waste of energy and learn to grow in himself. Now, for him who knows not the self, it is not right to neglect the duty enjoined on him. So, one who does not know the self yet, one who does not realize the true self, for that person, action is very important. Action, what action? Not restless action, doing anything or going after our senseless desires. Focused action of our duties in life. That is what he means by action. Sixth verse, Karmendri, he is talking of a hypocritical person. There are many people we may see, when everybody is doing action, they will want to set themselves apart by sitting quietly. They will sit quietly in a corner. They will say, don't disturb me, I'm going to meditate. The eyes may be closed. You can see the restlessness of that person's eyes also. It will be closed, but the eyeballs will be moving inside. That is the amount of restlessness that is there. And very sure to know that the mind will be constantly thinking about who is actually watching me right now. I said I'm going to be in meditation, and I've told them all to go ahead and do the action. But who is it that is watching me? Because the consciousness will be aware that they are being watched. And the inside activity is happening. So it cannot be stopped. If there is a creature that remains inactive physically, he will get okay. So this verse is about the hypocrite who pretends to have no desires, who's shutting off his sense organs of perception, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin, and locking the sense organs of action also, and pretending to sit in meditation without actually getting up and doing some work. Karmendriyani samyamya ya aste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimudhatma mithyacharassa uchyate. Karma indriyani are the organs of action. What are they? The organ of speech, the organ of hands, the organs of legs, the organ of reproduction, and the organ of excretion, of the 5 sense organs of action. Karma indriyani samyamya, controlling all these organs, the 5 sense organs of action. Samyamya, samyak yamayati is very well disciplining and controlling. Ya aste, that person is sitting. But what is he doing? Manasa smaran. With his mind he is thinking, wow, if only I had that lassi in that shop, that Banarasi lassi. I told them I don't want. I said I am on a diet and I don't want. The thinking is going in meditation. I am on a diet. I told I don't want. But that lassi was so tasty. I really missed that opportunity to be thinking about that Banarasi lassi or an ice cream or some beautiful girl he saw whom he wanted to go and say, how are you? Hi, how are you? But he pretended he's a great meditator and he came away. He did not introduce himself. He did not talk, or he did not stand there to hear her talk and clear that kind of a desire that has come in him. Karma indriyani samyamya ya aste, but manasa smaran. In the mind they are sitting and thinking. What are they thinking? Indriyarthan. What are they thinking about in the mind? Indriyartha. I'm thinking about what I love to hear, what I love to see, what movie I love to see, what is the YouTube channel I want to see right now, what is it that I love to smell right now, fragrances that I want to smell. I want to go to this garden and smell these beautiful flowers. The parijata flowers, not the orange ones with orange stem and white flowers, the big, it blooms like a rose, jasmine rose, parijata it's called. So indriyarthan, and then the sense of taste, the sense of feeling, the sense of touch, the sense of smell, the sense of sight, and sense of hearing, and the seeing, hearing, tasting, the forms, the sounds, the smells, the tastes, and the feeling, sensations. Vimudha atma. He is a vimudha, visheshena mudaha. He has got a PhD in ignorance, the highest degree holder, D.Lit in ignorance. It is greater than PhD also. Vimudha. Why? Because he is pretending that others don't know, and actually he is cheating himself. Vimudha atma. Such a person, what is he called? Mithya achara. He is called a person of false conduct. So uchyate. Gurudev says, to sit back physically retired is not the way to reach anywhere, much less the final state of perfection. If this physical retirement is not efficiently accompanied by an equal amount of mental and intellectual withdrawal from the sensuous fields, the spiritual future of such a misinformed seeker is surely very bleak and dreary. He loses out on enjoying the benefits of the world also. He loses out on the higher realms of meditation and the higher realms of joy that is got out of meditation of the self. He loses out on both. न घाट का है न घर का है. A person who people think have died at home, they are carrying the body to the ghat, the burning ghat, and on the way the burning ghat, the person was actually on a coma. He had not died, and he sits up, and they will not take this person back home because after having them on the hearse or the pall which they are carrying, it is considered a dead body. And why the people won't bring them back home? Because they will think that some other sukshma sharira, some other entity has occupied this body, so it does not belong to that family from which it came. And so they cannot burn it because the person is sitting up alive, and so they will keep that person in a hut in between the ghat and the house. So in that position, a person who does not do work and who pretends to be meditating will be there in life. The mind has a tendency to repeat its own thoughts. When a single thought is repeated off and on, it creates in the mind a deepening impression, and afterwards, all thoughts arising in the mind irresistibly flow in that prepared channel. Once the direction of the flow in the mind has become fixed, all external activities of that individual become colored by his characteristic tendency. A mind that constantly meditates on sensuous pleasures carves out for itself a deep sensuous tendency, and before long we discover that the individual is helplessly egged on to act in the external world as he had tragically planned for himself in his mind. So we run through the thoughts in our mind. Those thoughts will make us do the action in the world outside. Bhagavan Sri Krishna realizes that an ordinary man would not know how to save himself from this natural instinct, and therefore he prescribes the following stanza. The ordinary human being, unless he is taught, he will not. This is the education about the need to do action. Whether we may work as a chartered accountant, or whether we may work as a lawyer, or whether we may work as an engineer or a doctor or a school teacher or even a homemaker, home builder, home engineer, or a gardener or a sweeper, whatever work we may do, it is very important to know the dynamics of action, what that work can do on my mind, and with what quality I should approach the work, so that the work I do does not bind me. The work I do works towards my liberation. The economics of thought is a science unknown to the modern world, while the thought economists, have I read this? Okay, sorry, 7th verse. Yastvindriyani manasa niyamyarabhatirjuna karmendriyai karma yogam asaktasya vishishyate yahatu. But this does not apply to people who have begun to control their mind. Yahatu indriyani manasa samyamya niyamya arabhate Arjuna. Oh Arjuna, there may be many people who are doing sadhana. They will begin to control their mind with the help of the mind. How they will do? If you do a japa, inhaling, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. If you're doing this consistently for a long period of time, in the process of chanting this, the mind becomes very quiet. So, Gurudev says here, Yastu Indriyani Manasa Niyamya Arabhati Arjuna. They have started to control the mind, with the mind. Karmendriyaihi karma yogam asaktaha savishishyate. Karma indriyaihi, along with the sense organs of action, they are touching the sense objects of the organs of actions. What are the objects? The organ of action of the mouth has for its object speech. The organ of the hands has for its objects holding. So everything is done very lightly. Even in handwriting analysis, there are three types of handwriting personalities. One person writes so heavily that there is almost a braille formation in the other side of the page. A person who is studying braille language can run their fingers and figure out what are the words with that much of impression, meaning they have so much of intense emotion in them and they put it completely in the handwriting. There are some people, some places it is intense, some places it is light. But there are some people, there's no impression that is formed on the paper, just very light strokes are put. So that is the way by which we can do action. Karma, that is the organ of there are two ways. When I am acting, when I'm speaking consciously, I put all my effort and energy into the breath and focusing my awareness on the breath, and automatically the words spring out, and there is no great effort put in the words. Like I am not like putting effort in the word, mean trying to use those words and stressing my point and making my point, putting all my energy into the words. It'll go and hit the other, it'll go and hit their tympanic membrane, and they will get so irritated and they will feel triggered by the words, because the words have got so much of energy coming out from the individual. But without attachment, when doing the action, the words are coming out very lightly from the voice, and it just goes. They don't have any adverse impact on anybody else. They don't create karma, they don't create impression, they don't create any hardness in the society and the situation in the environment around us and all the people's minds. Yastu indriyani manasa niyamya arabhate karma indriyaihi. Same way with the hands also. You can touch another person. You can just shake hands with the other person. You can just, tap another person gently. You can grip another person's hand that they really shake. So this is the different ways by which we can do action. When we are gripping the hand of the other person so tight, we are putting all our energy. That is not karma yoga. Karma yoga is gently doing the action that needs to be done and withdrawing the sense organ of hand. The same is the legs also, the feet, where we walk. Even in our homes, especially for girls, especially for women, mothers will often say, don't walk with so much of pressure. Don't put so much of pressure on the earth while walking. Don't thump your feet and walk. Just walk gently. That's why Hamsa Gati is a very beautiful Mada Gajana. All our deities are all praised. Mada Gajana. Devi, the way she walks like an elephant with such a grace of movement. So, actually, what is being spoken of here in the name of Karma Yoga is doing actions with a lot of grace. It's doing actions with a gratitude, love, and grace flowing through the actions, rather than a pressure to perform, a pressure to prove something, a pressure to get some work done, a pressure to manifest the results that I want to happen, without any of those agendas in mind. Just breezily doing actions like that is why you're like offering flowers to God. No agenda can be positive. Even that also, people, they do it with tremendous pressure. I see people who are taking such a beautiful lotus and thumping the lotus like this, pressing it, and then pushing all the petals out like this, forcing all the petals out, and then offering it like this, throwing it at Bhagavan. Whether they're offering into a havan also, or they offer flowers, it is not an offering, it is a throwing at the feet. So this is not karma yoga. Karma indriyaihi, karma yogam. Karma yogam is being united with the thought that Ishvara is the doer of the action and the hands are just moving. The hands are just flowing in that action. It can be writing, it can be sweeping, it can be dusting, it can be wiping, it can be cooking, it can be accounting, it can be, diagnosing, it can be doing a surgery, whatever the action can be. It is the same 10 fingers that are used for doing the actions. That is detaching from the fingers as I am the doer of the action. The pressure of that emotion of I am the doer is not there. Saha vishishyate, that person excels. So Gurudev says here, the economics of thought is a science unknown to the modern world, while the thought economists of yore carved out a Rishi India and guided the country to the golden era of its spiritual culture. If the mind is not cooperating with the sense organs, perception is impossible, even though the objects may be within the field of the organs. That is why sometimes when we are deeply attentive and fully interested in reading a book, we do not even hear when somebody comes near our elbow and talks to us, calls us. So there are many examples like this. We all know it. We all have seen in our homes. The mother wants to tell the father something. The father is immersed in reading the newspaper. The mother has finished her whole list of grocery, and the father then gets up and then he says, she's asking, why you have not gone? I told you, right? You told, but I did not hear because I was immersed in the newspaper. This is very common for all of us. We have gone through this at homes. This control of the sense organs by the mind is only the negative aspect of the entire technique of right living. That is, just controlling the sense organs is not enough. When a camera is loaded with a piece of plain white paper, however long we may keep the lenses open against any well-lit object, no impression of the object is formed on the lens. Concern can dirty the paper. On the other hand, if the very same paper is sensitized, then even a slight exposure will leave impressions on the object upon it. In the same way, if the mind is plastered with attachment, soon gathers on itself impressions or vasanas during its contacts in the external fields of activity. I was just, when I was studying in Sandipani Vidya Mandir, Coimbatore, the mic sometimes, if they've forgotten to switch it off, very interestingly, what will happen is, even if there is nobody is talking and no sound, there'll be some mild vibrations coming from the mic. It is just picking up all the sounds because that magnetic effect is there. That is, it's picking those sounds and then echoing those sounds outside. So in the same way, the mind which is sensitized with vasanas, which is sensitized with attachments, like the film paper which is sensitized, it can grasp impressions. In the same way, if the mind is plastered with a lot of attachments in it, then it will start grabbing more and more of those desires and the need to fulfill those desires into the mind. By withdrawing the organs of perception from their unprofitable fields of activity, what happens to us? Gurudev says, we save on the inner energy which is spent through the organs of activity on a chosen field of work. We are using the organs of action like the mouth, the hands, the legs, and the organ of reproduction and organ of excretion are being used for some productive activity. If the sense organs of perception are kept quiet, then the energy, a lot of energy will be available for the sense organs of action. Our inner attitude and non-attachment during the activity, no new rubbish is gathered by our mind, but on the contrary, it gets itself burnished by the removal of its existing mental dirt. The very field of activity, which ordinarily becomes a snare to capture and imprison a soaring soul, itself becomes the exact art of self-liberation when it's rightly employed by faithfully following the way of life advised by the Gita. So it is not only important to do action, but it is important to do action in the method in which the Gita prescribes us to do action. And that way, when we do action, the individual thought, emotion complex within is liberated from this body. At the time of death, there is no holding back. Nothing can, no astral impressions can trap this inner being from going out into the roaming into the realms of spiritual wilderness. After death, the 8th verse, Niyatam, therefore what we should do? Niyatam kuru karmatvam karmajyayohya karmanaha sharira yatra pichate na prasidhyeda karmanaha. Therefore, Arjuna, niyatam kuru karmatvam. Niyatam means whatever action I have to do that action. Karma jayaha hi akarmanaha. Action is greater than non-action, inaction. Inaction is not doing anything, simply lying idle. Sharira yatra pichate. Why action is greater? Even for the movement of this body through our day-to-day life, like waking up, when the sun rises, we have to wake up, we have to get and brush our teeth, we have to take a bath, we have to make our coffee, have our coffee or tea or whatever we drink, and then we have to have our breakfast, and we have to get ready and go to our office to earn money for the family, for so many people that we have to support. We have to do something. Even a retired person will have a lot of work to do at home. There is nobody spared from work in this world. So karma, sharira yatra pichate. Even a retired person, if he is just going to laze around at home because he is retired and he has done all the work and all his earning is over, people at home will be making fun of him or will not respect him because no action is happening around that person. Our action is directly correlating to our self-respect in this world. If we do not do any action, if we do not show the right kind of productivity, this world will not respect that person. Tadartham karma kaunte. Sorry, I think I chanted this verse. Yeah, niyatam kuru karmatvam. Sharira yatra pichate naprasidhyed akarmanaha. A person who is not doing any action will not be successful in life, even in just living with this body on this earth. Just existing also is not possible if we are not doing any actions. If we take some food, then we have to go to the toilet and we have to release whatever wastes have come, and we have to take bath, we have to clean ourselves. Otherwise, we are such a danger and menace to the society around us. The 9th verse, for what sake I should do action, and if I don't do action for that sake, what happens? Yajnarthat karmanon yatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Mukta sangha also is coming many places in the Bhagavad Gita. Yajna arthat karmanaha anyatra. Other than doing an action for the sake of yajna. Yajna means a cooperative endeavor. In the house, what is yajna karma is, everybody is living in the home. One person takes up the broomstick to sweep the floor. One person takes up the mop to clean the floor. One person is in the kitchen cooking. One person is in the bathroom cleaning. One person is filling up water somewhere. One person is watering plants. And one person is doing something else at home. So this is everybody is working towards that one home. And what happens? That home becomes beautiful at the end of the effort of these 5 people. So yajna arthat karmanaha. If I do this, there is no bondage in that action. I will not get bound by the action. But if I'm doing an action only for my pleasure, I am doing this action and I get bound by that action. Yajnarthat karmanaha anyatra lokaha ayam karma bandhanaha. Karma should be understood here as movement, as rajas. So any movement only for the sake of yajna. What is yajna and what is movement in yajna? You've seen it so beautifully in sports. March past and march drills are all yajnas. You've seen beautiful march drills where thousands of people have their festoons and all their identical uniforms and identical costumes and the identical equipment in their hand, and they move their hands in an identical manner. So that is called yajna. And for the sake of, unless for the sake of yajna, unless for the sake of collective action, election is a yajna. Participating in election is a yajna. Holding an official post is also a yajna. If people are all holding official posts without this knowledge, which the Bhagavad Gita points out, such a person will be bound. Yet that is why those many great stalwarts in politics did not get upset when they lost elections, because their contribution in politics was a yajna. They contributed their best for the people, for the welfare of the people, and they did not have any private interest for their own self, their own name, their own popularity, to establish their own selves for their own needs. They did not have that. So that is called yajna. Anyatra lokaha ayam karma bandhanaha. If I do not do an action for the sake of yajna, this world will bind me. Tadartham, therefore, for that sake, karma kaunteya, O Kaunteya, son of Kunti, mukta sangaha samachara. Mukta sangaha means being free of attachment to that energy, that prana is flowing. When I'm doing an action, the prana is flowing, and the prana is only causing the action to happen. Without that prana, I cannot even move a little finger. That prana is only that is causing the action. But here I identify myself with I am that prana. I am doing the action. That I thought is identifying with the prana and says I am the doer of the action. It is a prana that is doing the action. So mukta sangaha means just remove that I thought and the prana. The prana is flowing through the body. The prana is enabling the flow of the action. It is flowing through the action. That is what we see. Even servant maids and house helps. There will be a lot of difference when we wash vessels, and we wash vessels means when we are not used to washing vessels daily, or lamps and brass. If we are not used to washing, we will also wash some days, and they will also wash. You see the power of their shine that they can bring into that brass when they wash it. It is because constantly they have been allowing the prana to flow through the hands and doing that work. It has become so rich. That action has become so perfected in them that it shines through their hands. So that is the flow of prana is doing that. And the mukta sangha is dissecting the I thought from the prana thought, allowing the prana to flow and giving the credit for the prana and not taking credit for the I is mukta sangaha. Some achara, samyak achara means do actions very well. Enjoy doing actions. Do them with a smile on the face. When we learn to smile while doing actions, however difficult they may be, even Thiruvalluvar said, "Idukkan varungal naguga." Whenever you get difficulties in life, give a gentle smile, keep a gentle smile on your face, which tells your subconscious mind that this is after all nothing. I'm going to transcend all this. So yajnarthat karmanaha anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. This world or this action itself will bind me if I do not do the action for the sake of yajna. Tadartham. Therefore, karma kaunteya. Karma, mukta sangaha samachara karma. Mukta sangaha, without attachment to I am the doer of the action. Na aham karta, hari karta. Who is that hari? Hari is that prana. Samachara, samyak achara. Do it very well. So, Gurudev says here, yajna here means any self-sacrificing work undertaken in a spirit of self-dedication for the blessing of all. Such an action cannot be self-degrading and therefore it is self-liberating. Yajna as any social, communal, national or personal activity into which the individual is ready to pour himself forth entirely into a spirit of service and dedication. Arjuna's defect was that he got too attached to the individuals in the opposing forces and he developed consequently wrong relationships with them. Therefore, he came to feel that he must run away from the field of work that had presented itself before him. So we will continue with the next verse from tomorrow. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kashchit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Om Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasorma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya, Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya, Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Boliye Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj ki jai. Har Namah Parvati Pataye. Hara Hara Mahadeva. Hari Om.